Hi there! Whoa! Hi there, BookTube! My name is Christina and today I'm here to film the video, the one that kinda encompasses all of the books that I want to read before the end of this year. I don't know even how to define this year at this point. But I have still some reading plans for this year for a bunch of different reasons. So without further ado, let me get into the books. The very first one, I'm so happy because I actually finished it, and it was one of the things that I wanted to finish before the end of the year, and it is Unravel the Dusk, the second book in a duology, The Blood of the Stars, written by Elizabeth Lim. This one, the first book, starts as a sort of a retelling of Mulan mixed Project Runway. Yeah, I know, that sounds crazy, but it's a story set in an Asian kind of setting. It's not very clear if it's more like Chinese or Taiwanese or, I don't know, just that kind of feeling of the atmosphere of the places around. We have an emperor, we have palaces all around the place, we have beautiful gowns made of silk, so that gives you a general idea. This, of course, is a fantasy. We're following our main protagonist, who her name is Maya, who is a tailor, and she wants to become the tailor for the emperor. Unfortunately, this is something that she cannot do being a woman, so she kind of decides to dress up as a man and to try her fortune and to become the emperor's tailor. And from there, a bunch of things happen. The second book goes places, so it's completely different from the first one, and here we're following kind of the spiraling down of a character because of some things that happened in the first book, but I cannot tell you anything more because spoilers. Anyhow, I finished it, and so I finished finally a duology this year, so I'm very happy, and check for this one. The next book that I would like to read before the end of the year, so this month, is The Beauty of Darkness from the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson, and this is the third book in a trilogy. There is also a short story in between the second and the third one, and I've not read that one either, so maybe that one and then this one. This is again a fantasy story. This is kind of fantasy YA story. We're following our main protagonist, who is a princess, and at the beginning of the first book she escapes from kind of an arranged marriage because she doesn't want to follow that path, and so she decides to escape. And when she escapes, the prince, her betrothed, and an assassin are both sent her way to find her, and you are following for the first book these three points of view of the princess, the assassin, and the prince, and you don't know who's the prince and who's the assassin. So the first one has a very unique and fun concept to it, but then in the second and the third book the world kind of broadens and the stakes are higher, and now I can't wait to read the third one. The first two I've read as a buddy read, and this one too. We were supposed to read it in November, but a lot of things happened in between, so I hope that we will be able to read it in December. And so I will finish one more series, finger crossed. Then, since we're speaking about series, I want to go on with the series, and this one is just perfect for December because it is the second one in a trilogy, and it's The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. And this is a very famous, again, YA fantasy kinda. A bit of fantasy, a bit of magical realism, kind of in between, and this is a story in which we're following a girl, a young girl in the first book, but she's growing throughout the trilogy, and it is set in Russia, so of course I love it. And being set in Russia, it deals with winter, frost, snow in such a perfect way that you kind of feel the chill in your bones sometimes. And I can't wait to get to this one because I love the first one. I read it maybe in January of 2020 or in December 2019, something like that. So I want to keep the tradition and read the second one this winter, finger crossed, before the end of the year. And then I have two last books, but more than books, they are kind of prompts that I want to kind of check, because so I will kind of be on track, almost kinda, with my goals that I set for myself on 2020. Because believe me or not, I just remembered 2 days ago that I actually had some goals for 2020, reading goals, and yeah, that went places. And again, I completely forgot about those, so I started just checking all the boxes and seeing how I did without thinking about those goals. And I have to admit, not that badly, but I can do better. And for that, I still want to try and read one book in French, and for this one I went with two possibilities. And they're kind of similar because I have here, they're both set in a similar period and in a very similar setting, because for books in French I really have kind of a fetish, let's call it like that. I really enjoy reading in French books that are set at Versailles. So we're talking about a very specific period, about a very specific kind of setting, and I just love it. This is the thing, I just love it. And so I can or reread Les Colomon de Soleil, and this one is by Anne-Marie Despladuc, I believe. And sorry for the pronunciation, I completely forgot my French, so I hope that I still can kind of passively understand it by reading, because orally I completely lost it. And this is a story, this is the cover first of all, and this is a story of a group of girls, and they're all in the same kind of, they're living in the same space. I don't remember if they are orphans and they're living in a house for orphans, rich orphans, or, I know it doesn't make sense, rich orphans, but just bear with me, or if it was kind of a college thingy. I don't remember that part, but what I remember is that they're kind of invited to the palace and they need to put on a play, and so it deals with theater, with all the intrigues at court, and this sets the beginning of a series. We're following a bunch of girls, you can see here behind, and there will be even more later, and each book focuses on one girl and you're following kind of her story, and this is the setup, and from here everything starts. I own the first 3 or 4 books, I don't remember exactly, and so I'm very kind of curious to reread it, to see what I think about it, and if I will understand even less than before because of my poor French. Or on the other hand, I have Les Roses de Trianon by Annie J, so kind of an English name. I don't know if it was written originally in English, but even if it was, I don't want to know it probably, because I still want to think about this as a book written in French. In French, yes, French. So this one again follows the same kind of pattern. We're following here Rosalie d'Angemont, who is 16 years old, and she kind of ends up at the court with Marie Antoinette, and she kind of becomes close to Marie Antoinette, and it's a bit of a search journey, a bit of a detective thing. I don't know. I know pretty much nothing, but as you may see, very similar concepts here, and I don't know which one I will pick, but one of those maybe before the end of the year would be perfect. And then the last one that I have to kind of check one more box to reach my 2020 goals is to read a novel by Jane Austen. And this is the one that will... that's unlikely. That's really unlikely that will happen, because I want to try and read it in English for the first time. I've always read those books in Italian, but in English I believe that it will be a little bit harder, and I don't know which one I will pick. Maybe I will go with something short from her, because she has some shorter stories, novellas, I don't know how to call them. So maybe I will give a try to that one, and then I will slowly build up, because I really want to read everything written by Jane Austen. I read Emma, I read Pride and Prejudice, I read Persuasion, and oh my god, some of her short stories too. I remember that I read those, maybe Lady Susan, was it something like that? And so I still have some major ones that I've not read, like for example, I've never read Mansfield Park, or I watched the movie but I never read Sense and Sensibility. So I have a bunch of options, but I don't know if I will be able, because I mean, this is still quite a good amount of books for just 1 month. I'm not that fast of a reader. Plus, I'm reading other stuff, the things that I borrow from the library, the audiobooks, the ebooks, and so I don't know if it's manageable, but I will try, and these are all of the books that I'm planning to read before the end of the year. Let me know down below if you have any books that you are planning to read before the end of the year, and what's the reason why you're picking that book precisely before the end of the year. Is it because of the theme? Is it because of your goals? Just let me know. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon in my next one. Bye! Ciao!